Hello, it is Diane Cox here. It's the time of year, it's getting to the equinox, so the sun is lovely in the afternoon, in the late afternoon, and we are here to talk about the next Mythic tarot card that we are looking at and exploring in the beautiful Mythic tarot deck, this lovely deck. And today we have got to, that's going to be interesting with the sun, isn't it? It's kind of, we've got to the Wheel of Fortune. It's a kind of self-explanatory kind of card, isn't it, really? And when you have a look at it, the symbolism, so have a look at that, and you've got the three Morai, the Fates, and they're sitting in a cave, very womb-like, cozy, deep in the cave. And even the gods quivered at the thought of dealing with the Morai, the Fates, because when they had decided the quality and length and kind of general fortune of your life, there was no kind of arguing with it. These are the three fates, the Morai, who basically have your fate, your destiny in your hand. And so if you have a look, there's the spinner, which is Clotho, down the bottom there, spinning. Is she actually spinning? Yeah, that's right. So you've got the spinner, Clotho, and then you have the measurer, which I think has to be obviously Lachesis up here. She's measuring the kind of, I like to think, the quality and the length of life, or the fateful path, journey that you're on. It's not just life, is it? Because fate can strike in a great way or a not so great way at any moment, all throughout your life, and then you get over it and you carry on and you learn the lessons and you run with it, don't you? So you've got the last one who has the scissors, who I believe is kind of the most feared, because she has the power to decide when life is over, or the fateful moment is over, and that is Atropos. So she has the snipping quality, she who cannot be avoided, she is known as. So that is the three Morai. You have Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos. And if you look at this card, I think it's, again, the symbolism is very useful, because have a look at the figures on the card. This one down here, who's just like, it's a bit like the Eight of Swords. It's a bit like the Eight of Swords, that position, isn't it? Or the Ten of Swords. It's kind of, it's really, the pressure is too much. You're just lying there and you just can't get up. You can't do anything. You're feeling completely disempowered. This person is like really climbing up, struggling up, and really kind of recovering from being at the bottom here. This person is obviously on their way down. And you have the lovely blissful state of the person on top of the Wheel of Fortune there. And I think when you look at it, and the card, the meaning of the card, I mean, these Morai, these fates, were born kind of fatherless. So they have this very ancient kind of feeling of, you know, that whole kind of before time even began kind of feeling. A bit like Bombadil in Lord of the Rings. Tom Bombadil. They were kind of, around before anything else seemed to have been around. And it is the Wheel of Fortune. And when you're doing a reading, obviously the cards surrounding will give you some good advice or guidance on what it is, what the fortune is, what the influences on this is. Because it can go any way. You can be any of us at any point in life can be any of these four figures. Climbing up, falling down in bliss, or just feeling crushed by it all. And the important thing here, because it's almost like the wheel of Dharma. If you look at Dharma and Buddhism, and you have the wheel of Dharma, which is very much like that wheel. The wheel of Dharma is about it's lots of things, but it's kind of it's service. It's just life, how life is, and this whole thing in Dharma about serving and just being, not getting attached. Dharma is about not getting attached to things, doing what is innately your particular skill. I mean, Dharma is like service, being of service, being kind of devoted to a cause or a deity or whatever. But it's kind of, when you look at that wheel, the important thing in this card, I think, is the hub of the wheel stays still. And for me, so what I was saying about Dharma is about, how the Buddhist principle of not being attached to anything, and I mean anything, not being attached to a happy moment, because, the law of impermanence and anicca, the law of impermanence, nothing lasts, a bad moment doesn't last, a good moment doesn't last, and not to get attached to wanting to repeat that moment over and over, what like most humans do. Why would you not want to repeat a nice experience? But in Buddhism, it's very much about, okay, that was that, and now the tide moves on, and it rolls in and it rolls out, and you can't hold on to a wave, that kind of feeling. And what it also makes me think of, the Wheel of Fortune card, is that central hub. It's that feeling of like a center of a mountain. That idea that, say, you might be, in a cave, like these goddesses, in a cave doing your stuff. I mean, obviously, they've got a nice day outside and it's all nice and green. But some days there'll be like, there'll be a storm brewing, there'll be lightning, thunder, torrential rain, there might be snow, there might be, like a tornado. And the whole thing about the center of the wheel there is just to stay centralized, stay like the heart of a mountain, kind of unmoved in a way, but just going with it, just going with the flow. And whatever fate brings, whatever this Wheel of Fortune brings, it's like, well, okay, I know I say this often, but it was a very good thing he said to me, because I always think of it when my Vedic astrology teacher said about if I was ever saying, oh, it's not fair, or whatever. And he was like, well, it's just a bit of karma finding its way back to you. You're just neutralizing a bit of karma. And I think it's such a great thing, because when fortune takes a turn, we're all so joyful when it takes such a great turn and something great happens and someone gets the job, they have the baby they want, they meet the person that they want, and they're living in a place that they love, and fate has all so many faces. And then obviously when fate kind of, what we feel like in humanity feels like it deals as a blow, it's like, well, it's just life. I always think it's really weird how we often think that life should just we should just go along all tickety-boo, and of course we don't grow like that. We don't grow from kittens and ice cream. We grow from the hard stuff. We grow from the challenges. We grow from this position, and we grow from this position. This is recovery. This is just coasting and enjoying yourself. This is the descent into the shadow, into the unconscious, and this is like dealing with the shadow, the darkness of life. And realizing things aren't personal, we all have different charts, we all have different placings of Jupiter, Saturn, and it has a massive effect on how we experience life, as do all the planets, obviously, but those are the two that came to mind. And it's like, okay, wherever you've got it in your chart, it can, at the beginning of life, before you actually start to understand about the great role Saturn can have and the great blessings that Jupiter can bring, and kind of just understanding it's like, say, not personal. And hopefully being in a position where you're not causing your own fortune to, descend. The Wheel of Fortune is always turning, and that is the thing. It's always turning. Nothing is permanent. This too shall pass, as is the great saying. Nothing is permanent. So when you're looking at the Wheel of Fortune and these great fatherless goddesses with their thread of life, the women goddesses of destiny, okay? And in a reading, actually, it's a good point, because people can be in a situation where things do feel destined. It's a good point to make about this card. There's a feel of fate, literally, and destiny. The Wheel of Fortune is turning, and it can feel like, you could be in a place where you meet someone and it leads to a mad travelling adventure, or, just moving countries, or doing something really freeing and liberating and stuff. So, but the idea here is obviously the cards that are surrounding this card. Like I say, they were quite feared, because when they'd made up their mind of the spinning the thread and the kind of measuring of the thread, then the cutting of the thread, it was kind of set in stone, really. I think there's only one story where, who was it? They went and they begged for them to kind of extend the thread, or delay the cutting or something. I should remember that. Was it I can't know. Anyway, they did give it up for one. I think it was Mercury, actually. So yes, it's the fate in us all. It's the kind of, another thing about this card. It's like the deep soul of us. We have our own fateful, destined way. Like I say, you can talk about astrology or just our upbringing, where we find ourselves, the influences we've had, the influences that we've accepted and rejected, and the opportunities that we had that maybe we didn't take, or we did. And, the Wheel of Fortune is a whole wonderful, complex layer of looking back on things and just being in the right place at the right time, or the wrong place at the wrong time. And, so be it. Such is karma, and such is our lessons this time around. So yes, it can just really signify a big change in the journey. Or as I often find with astrology, sometimes it's not totally an outward feeling. Sometimes, we know that the tarot, or a message and a bridge from the unconscious to the conscious, speaking in the great language of symbols. But also sometimes with astrology, like now with March 2025 and all the great astrological change and the planetary activity that's very active this month, lunar eclipse that was this morning. It's sometimes such an inner shift that you might be expecting some big outward influence to be coming in, but it can actually just be an inner shift. You just going, wow, that's a bit of a eureka moment. That's a big penny drop moment. I've just had a moment of realization. So yeah, the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune turns on that lovely silent hub. The idea is just to suck it up, do the best you can, enjoy it while it lasts, or bear it while it lasts, whichever one it may be, whichever direction you're going. Keep to your inner center. Know it's about growth and change. The card is about growing and changing and dealing with whatever fate and fortune brings your way. Okay, so it's like whatever brings your way, whatever comes your way. It's a bit of karma. If you don't believe in karma, it's just a life lesson. It's an opportunity to evolve as a person, to stretch your spiritual self, to stretch your emotional and mental self, even maybe your physical self, and to just go, right, I am, I'm taking up the challenge here and I'm running with it. So just keep to your strength, know your wisdom, and remember the resources that you have. That I know it's a bit of a cliche, but that whole thing about this isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. that, oh, now the sun's got to a bit where there's no leaves giving it any kind of shade here. So yeah, I think that's it for the Wheel of Fortune. I think it's quite self-explanatory, especially when you look at these 4 figures on the wheel. You remember the hub and the center of a mountain, and that these 3 goddesses, that they I was thinking about this. It's kind of funny. So when you pass to the next world and you leave this mortal coil and you take off the coat that has kept you kind of in this human form, and your spirit flies off to freedom, it's like we should really all doff our caps to the Mirai, shouldn't we? That's kind of, okay, the fates, here you are. Thank you very much, women of destiny. That's what I got. I like that. That thought, I think it's a Hindu thing, or an Arab, no, it can't be Arabic, anyway, I can't remember what it's from, could even be Norse, this idea that you're born with a certain amount of heartbeats, and when you've kind of, used all your heartbeats up, it's kind of, that's it, you were destined this many heartbeats, and now that's over, you've had your heartbeats. Which is a good excuse not to exercise too much, because the heartbeats. Someone who did a lot of competitive swimming in my youth, I'm probably kind of used a lot up already. So yes, that, my friends, my fellow tarot friends, is the Wheel of Fortune in the Mythic Tarot deck. And if you have any, like I always say, if you have any insights or something that you found doing readings and getting this card, the Wheel of Fortune, that you often have seen it relate to, then do let us all know. We're all learning, always. So, but enjoy the Wheel of Fortune. Look at the cards surrounding it. Really think of the question. Make sure the question the querent's asking is very focused and nice and clear. Always helps. And so yeah, that's it. That's the Wheel of Fortune. Thank you so much for watching, and may you have great jolly fortune for as long as possible, and no matter which way it goes, know that you have the power and love and resources and wisdom to get through it all and move on. So okay, thank you so much for watching. The sun's about going down now. I will see you soon. Thank you very much. Bye bye.